Up to this point, the research I've described paints a pretty negative picture of human nature and the role of social influences. People may ignore a crime victim, exhibiting bystander apathy. Groups of soldiers may obey orders and engage in horrible war crimes. People will obey a scientist, believing that they're delivering powerful shocks to a person in the next room. And people will say that they see one thing when they clearly see something else. But what if people ignored social influences? Sometimes, a police officer directing traffic will tell you to do something that doesn't seem obvious, and it's usually a good idea if you go along. Or imagine that you're driving on an unfamiliar highway on a rainy day. How fast should you drive? Other drivers will probably have a better idea of how fast is safe, so you can use their behavior to tell you what's reasonable. When the participants in Solomon Asch's experiment went along with the crowd, they ended up making an incorrect response. But in real life, you don't usually get 5 out of 5 people all saying the same thing if it's wrong. You don't get everyone walking in one direction when they should be going the other way. It can happen, but it's rare. So social conformity is often a rational thing. And let's think about bystander apathy for a minute. Imagine you see this child crying in a park. If there's no one else around, there's a good chance that you'd go ask her if something's wrong. You're the only one there, so there's no diffusion of responsibility. It's up to you. But imagine that there are lots of people walking around and everyone is ignoring the child. You might think there's a reason why they're ignoring the child. Maybe they saw something that you didn't see that indicates that nothing's wrong. Maybe they saw that the girl's parents are nearby. And you don't want to get involved in some embarrassing situation with the girl's family if there really isn't anything wrong. Research on bystander apathy indicates that people are much more likely to help someone or deal with a problem if there's no one else around. And part of this is because we rely on other people to determine if it's really a problem and if it's safe and appropriate for us to get involved. So, in some ways, what looks like bystander apathy is actually a rational response to the situation. The problem with bystander apathy, and with other situations of conformity like bullying, is that people sometimes go along with a group even when it's irrational or immoral. It certainly wasn't a good thing that no one intervened over the 30 minutes that Kitty Genovese was being attacked. So, when is it appropriate for you, as a bystander, to screw up your courage and be the one person to intervene? And when is it appropriate for you to disobey an authority figure? That's a difficult question to answer because it will depend on so many details of the situation. Consider, for example, the case of Edward Snowden, who was a contractor for the federal government and leaked classified information from the National Security Administration about the U.S.'s global surveillance programs. The revelations from Snowden's leaks were quite shocking to the American public and the rest of the world. We had no idea the sorts of surveillance that was being conducted, including harvesting millions of emails and tapping the phone of German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Some people called Snowden a traitor. He broke many laws, put intelligence operations at risk, and embarrassed the U.S. in the eyes of the world. Other people called him a hero, someone who stood up to authority at great personal risk to reveal unethical Orwellian surveillance practices. So, was he a traitor or a hero? I have my own opinion, but it's just an opinion. The morality of an action like this is beyond the scope of the science of psychology. However, what social psychology can tell us is what factors will cause people to stand up to authority or to peer pressure and do the right thing under conditions where it's clear what is right and what is wrong.